What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the WiseTake MLB DFS Wise stream. CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013, and I, of course, am from the WiseTake Nation, which you can find on all the social media platforms listed above or directly at WiseTake.com. If you're looking to take your DFS game to the next level, we are a premium DFS content provider, as well as a DFS community designed to make you a better DFS player. Go check us out. WiseTake.com day pass is available. That being said, if you're new to this channel, welcome. You've come to the right place with some fire free DFS content. So make sure you subscribe, hit notifications bell, and don't miss out on any of the free content we put out. Covering MLB slates right now, Monday through Friday, meaning we doing streams Sunday night through Thursday night to get a little first look action in. And yeah, so like, subscribe, leave some comments, give me some feedback. We'd like to hear it. And do dirties, because that's what we do at the WiseTake Nation. We drop sevens and we do dirties. We've got really there's two slates, right? I think there's two slates, but we're covering the main slate, which is the night slate. It's always the night slate. Shout out to Solid Picks in the YouTube chat by my boy Pat Bush. What's happening, Pat? Good to see you, man. How you doing? Solid Picks says, can't get my bats right if my life depended on it. The bats are the variant part, right? That's why pitching is so important, because there's variance in all of baseball, right? But pitching is the one where, preaching to the choir. I know you know this, but for those who don't, you got to nail pitching. That's the least volatile position. Everything else, all offenses are just extremely volatile, and that's why it's beneficial to have a ton of lineups in there. You can go a little heavier exposure-wise on the pitchers, and then get a little different with the bats, shuffle around some bats. It's the benefit of having multiple teams, like a lot of teams, as many teams as possible. You know what I mean? But, keep grinding. You know, just like everybody else, MLB is a grind. It is a grind. That being said, speaking of the grind, we're going to grind on down to Wednesday night's main slate and start off with top pitchers as we normally do. Walker Buehler, obviously the current headliner in terms of price. I say that, but really all I mean is he's the most expensive pitcher. He's at home against the Cardinals. If we take a look at how the Cardinals have done against right-handed pitching, they've mashed lefties, them, but they have not done so well with righties. 90 WRC plus, 297 over, 156 ISO, 22.8% K rate, though. That's not high. It's not super high. Although, Buehler has a 25% K rate himself, which is down from what we've seen. Travis, what's going on, bro? Good to see you back, man. Good to see you back. Bust out the baby powder. Let's go. Let's do it. But yeah, Walker Buehler, I would assume, is going to be one of the most popular options, and I would assume he's everybody's optimal SP1 choice. I'm going to skip down to Sean Manaea. I've never been a huge believer in this dude, but listen, he's pitching extremely well. His numbers don't show me anything to where I should be hesitant. He's pitching in a good park at home in Oakland. And if we take a look at how Seattle has done against lefties, they have a 27.4% K rate, a 165 ISO, which isn't actually terrible, 286 WOBA, and an 87 WRC plus, fourth worst in the league. So I think Manaea, matchup wise, is a little bit better. If you look at Manaea's numbers, they're comparable to Buehler. I want to believe that Buehler's better, but just looking at the numbers, man, Manaea looks like he may be having a better season slightly, or at least compatible, right? Like somewhat equal. Next, we're skipping down to Alec Manoa. So this dude had his debut. If you remember, recently when he was supposed to pitch the first game, he was our cover boy. He was the thumbnail of the stream that day, and unfortunately his game got postponed, got rained out. We didn't get to see it, but we were expecting big things. He's going to be pitching in another hitter-friendly park out in Buffalo, which from my understanding, I found out that it's like the wind is kind of a big deal over there in the way that park plays. But anyway, it's not a great park for pitching, but he does have a pretty awesome opponent in the Miami Marlins, who are right here. 86 WRC plus against righties, 288 WOBA, 121 ISO, and a 26.3% K rate. Phenomenal spot. I think this dude's the real deal. We'll have to find out. He's young, only had one start in the bigs, but there's a lot of hype around this dude, and for good reason. He looked fucking good. His minor league numbers outstanding, and he shut down the Yankees in Yankee Stadium, which which I understand right now may not seem like that difficult of a task, but they're still the Yankees. They still got some good hitters. Those were the only three pitchers that really popped off the page. I got a couple of them in the what to watch section that we'll talk about, but we're going to move on to top offenses. Now, I do think there's some decent offenses out there, starting with the Twins against Matt Harvey. Twins have sucked 2 days in a row. Their third game in Baltimore with a massive park boost, but they're playing Matt Harvey, right? While Harvey's xFIP and Sierra are significantly lower than his ERA, they're still not good. And an 18.3% K rate is not good. And facing a Twins team in this park with a lot of power, same difference. Solid Picks points out that Manoa is $10K on FanDuel. Damn, you're getting the bargain on DraftKings today too. $10K on FanDuel. Most expensive pitcher on the slate. Damn, FanDuel. They're on it though. He's probably the most talented, so they're just on it. Anyway, Twins against Harvey, yeah, should be popular. We have Coors, so I guess I should have addressed Coors first. We got two shitty pitchers going in Coors. The problem is, as we discussed last night, we've also got two shitty offenses in Coors. The Rockies literally the dead last, I think, in WRC plus against righties. Rangers not as bad, but still bad. But it's in Coors. So you do what you want to do with that information. Jordan Lyles, Antonio Senzatella, you see their numbers. They're not good. Neither guy's very good at strikeouts. So I think the way we play Coors is gauge the ownership, and they're always popular. But gauge the ownership. If they're going lower owned than they should be, then it's probably a good idea to hop on, because it is Coors. But if they are going to be chalk, it's never a bad idea to pivot away. Take that for what it's worth. But we're not going to talk about. We're going to skip over. We talked about the Twins, Braves. We got plenty of offenses here. Braves against Lester. John Lester, 4.63 xFIP, 4.82 Sierra. The Braves have not been great against lefties, but we expect it to turn around. They're a pretty right-handed team. Matter of fact, they've already kind of turned it up. 221 ISO to lefties. There we go. Earlier this season, they were struggling a little bit, but we knew they were going to come. 106 WRC plus, 328 WOBA. 26% K rate is high, but 221 ISO. Definitely the highest ISO right now against lefties. So, yeah, give me the Braves. Next up, Nats in the same game. Drew Smiley. Nats can be tough on lefties. They eventually got to Fried, and now they're getting Drew Smiley, whose numbers are not good. Gives up a lot of fly balls, a lot of hard contact. That whole game just seems nuts. The Astros against Pivetta. Now, Pivetta got a 3.86 ERA, but his xFIP and Sierra shows regressions coming. Another guy that over his career has given up hard contact and fly balls. He's someone who throws a lot of curveballs, which are typically more effective to the opposite hand. So we actually do want righties against them. And the Astros got plenty of them, right? Last but not least, Dodgers against C-Mart. C-Mart, 13.6% K rate is pathetic. His ERA is 4.22, which isn't even good, but his xFIP is even higher, 4.92, 4.93 Sierra. Over his career, he's always struggled against lefties. Dodgers have enough, right, with some pretty good hitting righties mixed in. And as we always mention, the Cardinals' bullpen has been trash, right? Highest xFIP in the league. So offenses, there's no shortage. We have Coors. We've got Twins, the Twins in Baltimore, the Braves against Lester, Nats against Smiley, Stros against Pivetta, Dodgers against Martinez. We got plenty of offenses. So does that make Coors a little lower owned than it should be? It's possible, but I still think people have it in their head and they're just going to go to Coors. That's what I think, especially because of the pitchers that are on the mound. Things to watch. We got Pablo Lopez. We saw Alcantara didn't fare too well in Buffalo. We'll see how Pablo Lopez does. One of the better pitchers. It's the 1-2 for the Marlins, Pablo Lopez and Sandy Alcantara. But as we talked about yesterday, Toronto, second highest WRC plus against righties in the league, 334 WOBA, 113 WRC plus, 185 ISO, two righties. We'll see what wins out there. Framber Valdez didn't look terrible in his first start. Ground balls were there. Only at one start, so ignore the sample. But he's playing Boston. Boston has been good. 19% K rate, 164 ISO, 331 WOBA, 109 WRC plus. Now in Framber's start, the Padres didn't tattoo him too bad. It was when he left after 4 innings and 70-something pitches that the Padres just poured it on. So something to keep an eye on in that situation. And then the next thing to watch is really, I think there's 2 other pitchers who are kind of interesting. They're in the same game. Jordan Montgomery, XFIP and Sierra lower than his ERA. Playing a Rays team that we know strikes out with the best of them. Where is Tampa on this list? 30.8% K rate against lefties, 95 WRC plus, 299 WOBA, 158 ISO. So Montgomery's in play, but the game's in Yankee Stadium. That kind of sucks. Right, it's Hating Park. And then Shane McClanahan, or whatever, he's got the lowest XFIP on the slate, the lowest Sierra on the slate, 29.6% K rate. And he's playing a Yankee team that normally we wouldn't touch in Yankee Stadium against lefties. But so far this season, 23% K rate is not terrible. But a 143 ISO for the Yankees, 303 WOBA, 95 WRC plus for the Yankees at home. Something's not right with them. So maybe over time they'll kind of correct themselves. Right now, it seems fine. So I think he's another one, at least for tournaments, Mr. Shane McClanahan or whatever, is someone we can consider. On to the Dong Watch. I'm going Alex Bregman, number 1. We talked about righties against Pivetta. Regression for Pivetta, fly balls from Pivetta. I like Alex Bregman. I'm going Matt Olson, number 2. I know I didn't talk about the A's offense, but it's Chris Flexen. Nothing spectacular here. And Olson will be extremely low owned. He's got massive power. And he gets a righty who can't strike people out. So I'm good with that. Last but not least, Max Muncy sticking with the Dodgers against C-Mart. And even if it's not C-Mart, I want that bullpen. So Max Muncy, number 3. That's it. That's he. And that's going to do it as well for this edition of the WiseTake MLB Wise stream. Appreciate those of you hanging out. My article will be out as always, probably sometime around 2:30, 3 o'clock or so. Maybe even earlier than that. We'll have to see. But I'll have my article up. Core Plays article where I go over my top stacks, chalky, lower owned, go over my core, my pitchers for cash games, for tournaments. Paulie D's shit is going to be out as well. The dirt sheet, he goes over his top plays. And then, of course, our cheat sheets and our projections and all that shit will be out as well. So go check it out at WiseTake.com. Day Pass is available. Only covering the main slate tomorrow or later today, depending on when you're listening to this, at the site. Hit me back with some comments. Hit me on Twitter. I want to hear from you, Nation. For myself, the entire WiseTake Nation, as always, good luck.